Okay, I'm going to be reading a few verses out of the last chapter of Matthew. Of course, this is after the crucifixion, and Jesus had been placed in his tomb. And in 28 verse 1 says, "Now after the Sabbath, as it began to dawn towards the first day of the week, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary came to look at the grave. And behold, a severe earthquake had occurred, for an angel of the Lord descended from heaven and came and rolled away the stone and sat upon it. His appearance was like lightning, and his garment as white as snow. And the guards shook for fear of him and became like dead men. The angel answered and said to the women, 'Do not be afraid, for I know that you're looking for Jesus, who has been crucified. He's not here, for he has risen just as he said. Come and see the place where he was lying. And go quickly and tell his disciples that he has risen from the dead, and behold, he is going before you into Galilee, and there you will see him. And behold, I have told you.' So they departed quickly from the tomb with fear and great joy, and ran to report it to the disciples. And behold, Jesus met them and greeted them, and they came up and took hold of his feet and worshipped him. Then Jesus said to them, 'Do not be afraid. Go and take word to the brethren to leave for Galilee, and there they shall see me.' Now while they were on their way, behold, some of the guard came into the city and reported to the chief priests all that had happened. And when they had assembled with the elders and counseled together, they gave a large sum of money to the soldiers and said, 'You were to say, his disciples came by night and stole him away while we were asleep.' Now, why is this an issue? Well, the Romans these soldiers they probably would have been killed for allowing Jesus' body to be taken if it was truly the case that he was stolen. Okay, so they were freaking out. Verse 14, "And if this should come to the governor's ears, we will win him over and keep you out of trouble." And they took the money and did as they'd been instructed, and the story was widely spread among the Jews as it is to this day. Now, why am I pointing this out? The reason is this tradition and the opposition to the gospel among the Jews went on almost indefinitely. As a matter of fact, the passages that we often read out of Isaiah, where it speaks of the virgin birth, there's record from Irenaeus and Justin Martyr, roughly 80 or 100 years later, that the Jews had actually changed the text to read a simple, just a young woman instead of a virgin. Okay? Now, why is that an issue? Well, obviously, Jesus was born of a virgin. The Gospels are very clear on that. And the text of the Septuagint, which was the Greek text available during the time of Christ, made it very clear that it was virgin. It had been translated virgin. Now that was a translation that went back to about 200 years BC. So, and it was Jewish scholars that put it together. So, yet in the Masoretic text, the Jewish text that the Jews use today, it reads young woman. So now we could say, well, maybe it was just a translation problem, maybe an accident. But according to Irenaeus and Justin Martyr, they claimed that the Jews purposely changed it. In fact, they argued, there's writings of theirs that point to them having debates in their day about the translation being tampered with. Now, another issue that's very important, the Dead Sea Scrolls, of course, which were found in roughly in 1948, within a year or two of that, and sometimes after a few other bits and pieces of the Dead Sea Scrolls, went on for a while, bits and pieces being found in various caves around the Dead Sea. In Qumran, the Dead Sea Scroll manuscript of Isaiah says virgin. So it isn't just the Septuagint that read virgin, it was also common in Jewish translations during the same time. Now, of course, the Dead Sea Scrolls date back to anywhere from 100 to 200 years BC. So it was very common among the Jews to believe in a coming Messiah who would be born of a virgin. And yet the Jews went to great lengths to try to undermine that bit of history and truth, scriptural truth.